Hello students, welcome you all again to another session on security analysis and portfolio management. Hope you all watched the unit 1 part 1 video, a 10 minutes video where I explained you basics of security analysis and portfolio management. There we discussed security analysis is different from portfolio management. Security analysis implies analyzing the securities in terms of their value, in terms of returns, that is income generated, and risk involved. Portfolio management is altogether a different concept where you are going to learn how we can diversify the risk by making combination of investing in different securities. That is what we call portfolio. And managing a portfolio implies again measuring the return, risk, risk return trade-off in each of those portfolios. This is all the basic knowledge we gained from video number 1, part 1, unit 1 of SAPM, basic introduction. In today's session, we are going to add additional knowledge and more interesting knowledge in terms of what investment means, what is the difference between investment and speculation, what are the general steps that are involved in investment, what kind of objectives we are going to achieve in terms of investment, by making an investment, what objectives we are going to achieve. Again, what is the difference between investment and speculation? And we end up where we will also see the difference between investment, speculation, and gambling. At the end of today's session, we are also going to work out certain practical questions and so on. So I request all of you to have a clear understanding of all the issues that we are going to discuss today. As I said, we will first look into what we mean by investment and what is the difference between investment and speculation. Investment is the employment of funds. Employment means parting with your money. You are using the money in your hand. The term fund may be a wider terminology because sometimes it is not necessary as money is needed to invest. For example, you can invest your land for the purpose of acquiring equity shares of a particular company. That means the company as a purchase consideration has given land, for the given land, company is giving you shares. That means you are acquiring common stock by exchange of land to your company. So what I am telling here, the term fund, is it equal to money? Maybe money is also a part of fund, but fund, the term fund has a wider meaning. It includes not only money, but also all other things which are having value of money. So employment of funds means you are deploying your assets, liquid assets or some other assets. Investment means employment of funds on assets with an intention of earning income or capital appreciation. That means, suppose I am having 1 lakh rupees with me. I am purchasing the shares of a particular company. I have two intentions in making this investment. One, I am having an intention of getting annual dividends from the company. On the other hand, my mind is also thinking about how much the price of the share will grow in the sense I purchased the share at rupees 25 each. I am also anticipating an increase in the price of the share. 1 year back it is 25, it may be 30, 35 or 40 like that after 1 year. Then I will be getting capital appreciation. That means an investor, when making an investment, not only concentrates on the revenue gains, that is dividends, apart from that, he also thinks or otherwise anticipates certain amount of capital gain. To put some more examples, you purchased some piece of land or otherwise some house property. You are getting rental income from the house property. You can call it as earning income or simply revenue income. But at the end of the year, the property value also increases. Land value increases, building value increases. So 10 years back, you purchased a land at 20 lakh, purchased a real property, house property for 20 lakhs. Today it is 30 lakhs. All these 10 years, you get rental income also. Thus, investment demands or investor anticipates two types of incomes. What is revenue income? The other one is capital income. Capital income is in the form of increase in the value of the asset. Excuse me. Investment has attributes, namely time and risk. This we will understand as we progress. Investment also represent sacrifice of the present consumption for earning future returns. This is another dimension or another way of explaining or defining the investment. All investments, if you want to make investment, first thing you need is savings. If you want savings, you need to sacrifice expenditure. That means you have to put aside some of your wants. You want to purchase you want to make certain expenditures, revenue expenditures or daily expenditures. You have to cut down on all those expenditures, decrease them. Then only you will have considerable savings. And the consumption, present consumption is sacrificed for what hope? For a return in the future. Thus, investment represents deployment of funds with an intention to earn profits. Such profits can be revenue profits as well as capital profits. An investment has some attributes, namely time and risk. These two terms, as we progress, you will understand more better. And the present consumption is sacrificed because without you sacrifice the current consumption, you cannot add savings. Without adding savings, how can you make investment? This is the part of the question that clarifies the subject, right? Now let us progress into the next concept, speculation. Speculation is essentially an expectation. It may or may not be the reality. The expectation is on getting capital profit from the price fluctuations. So how to make a differentiation between an activity that amounts as investment or an activity that amounts as speculation? Let me clarify. I purchased ABC company shares. At the time I purchased ABC company shares, what is my intention? Why I purchased those shares? My intention is to hold them for some number of years, say it 3 years or 4 years. And all these years, let me earn dividends. After 4 years, the value of the share may go up. At that time, I will sell my shares. But at the time I purchase the shares, my intention is to hold it for any number of years, earn regular revenue, and see if something favorable goes, the price of the share also goes up in 4 years and I will get capital appreciation also. But that is not my main demand. But when it comes to speculation, because currently we have COVID situation going in the country, people thinking that some pharmaceutical companies which are engaged in biochemical or otherwise in the manufacture of vaccine for the COVID-19. Therefore, they purchase the shares of such companies with an anticipation that in very few months they will invent vaccine for the virus, and the share price will go up suddenly, so they can sell the shares and gain from it. That means here in this particular example, you can see that speculator, that is speculation is essentially an expectation of getting capital profits. Here they have no intention of receiving dividends. They want to gain from price fluctuations. Price fluctuations will be what they are wanting. They never purchase shares of those companies where there is little volatility, or no, that means that there is no specific change in the share prices, or even the price changes also, the change is very little. In such companies, nobody will speculate. Speculation will be done in those shares where there is high amount of volatility, because speculator comes here to speculate. Speculate means expect. That means the basis of his business or basis of buying and selling solely depends upon fluctuations. Fluctuation is the basis for making the speculation. So I have given another example. A person buying stock for dividend may be termed as an investor, but a buyer in anticipation of price rise in near future would be termed as a speculator. But in reality, if you see, dividing line between the speculation and investment is very thin in the sense that sometimes it is very difficult to make such a differentiation, because you see, I told you in the first paragraph itself that even though investors want what we call dividend, at the same time there may be some expectation on capital appreciation also. Who will not want an increase in the price of the original asset also? Definitely, even in investment process also, we see investors also demanding increase in the price of the asset. Apart from having regular income, so income from the asset, they also want capital appreciation. So in reality, many times because this is completely depending on a transaction done by a person, and his intention at the time he enters into the transaction, these are important. So intention is not visible, therefore making a distinction, a difference between these two is highly difficult in real life situation. But theoretically we can make some difference, identify certain differences between making an investment transaction and making a speculative transaction. So let us see some more cases where we will see differences between investment and speculation, or you can call difference between investor and a speculator. Let us see those on point-wise basis. Here it is. On time basis, if you see, investor or in investment process, we see that investor makes investment for long period of time. That is what you can say, generally more than a year. It can also be for 8 months or 9 months, and it can also be called as an investment. I am not telling 1 year is a landmark or a judgment mark as which is given in any literature or other legal concepts. It is a general model to tell that 1 year may be taken. Those selling within 1 year or short term and more than 1 year may be called as long term. Not necessarily, but we can take it like that. That means the time horizon involved in investment process is generally longer time period. But it comes to speculation, speculator speculates for very small amount of time. He anticipates rise in the price of a share, and what his anticipation or expectation has to be fulfilled within few days or up to a particular month. For example, I ask you a question. Price of the gold is too high today, still you are buying lot of gold. I questioned you, why are you buying it at that much of large value, where its original or intrinsic value may not be that correct value? Then you are telling me or answering me that why should I buy the gold even though I know that it is not a correct value, or I know I am paying more value for gold, but I am anticipating much rise. If I am purchasing the gold for holding it for long period of time, then I should fear about it. Why should I buy at a larger price? I don't mind buying at larger price, a price more than what it worth. When I know that its price is much going to increase, I am going to gain from it. So similar answers will be given by an investors. Like an investor say, why I can buy shares of a company which is not in existence as long as its value increases in the stock market. That means when trends in the stock market are going upward, a speculator buys any type of share. He does not mind what are its fundamentals and what it is going. So that because he is basically looking at short period of investment. Now, involvement of risk. Yeah, risk is a common factor for investment as well as speculation. Without taking risk, you never get return. This is a basic thing, thing we even discussed in the first video also. What happens is that in investment we see risk is there, but it is moderate risk. Moderate in the sense that not too low or zero, or it is not dangerously high risk. But when it comes to speculation, risk involved is very, very high because you are almost betting on the prices. That means you are anticipating an increase in the price, which may happen or may not happen. By selling the shares at a lower price after 2 months or 3 months, because you can't hold more, because you have no intention to hold it. The money you have obtained is only for a short period of time. Then you should sell it. Therefore, within 3 months, if what you expected has not happened, automatically you have to end up your transaction even in losses also. Thus, the risk of losing your money is very, very high when it comes to a speculative transaction. Now, let us think about return. As I said, risk and return go hand in hand. That means both travel in the same direction. More the risk you take, more the return you get. As we discussed in investment, we see risk is moderate, return will also be moderate. In the same way, in speculation, we see very high risk is taken. Therefore, potential to earn a very high returns is also there with speculation. But at the same time, as there is potential for earnings, like that there is potential to lose also. That is the risk is. So coming to the another aspect, that is process involved. Process means before making an investment, we have some steps to be carried on. We will learn in the today's class itself. So what are those steps that are used in making the investment process? Evaluates the fundamentals. Evaluates the fundamentals means what is the kind of company it is, what are its accounting ratios, does the ratios sounds good for us, what are the economic conditions surrounding the company, some etc things will be there. Or even you can say calculating the intrinsic value, calculating the return, calculating the risk, comparing return and risk. Is it correct to make the investment? All these things will be done before making the investment. But when it comes to speculation, no such evaluation. No such evaluation. They just depend upon technical performance. Yesterday, today, what it is going to be tomorrow. We don't mind whether the company is in existence or not, what type of company it is, or what are its financial indicators are likely to be. These things are completely unnecessary for a speculator. For him, fluctuations are important and movement in the market is important. So if he evaluates only technical performance, the graphs, the trend shown by the graphs, that's all. So to get more clarity on what we call fundamentals and technical performance, let me take an example of IPL bidding. Suppose one particular team, say for example Rajasthan Royals or Chennai Super Kings. Chennai Super Kings is investing in a particular player who never played for the national team. His performance in under 16 is not so good. He is not having any records at Ranji level, but still investing on him huge amount of dollars just by looking at his recent post, very recent post, where he has gone for massive hitting, sixes and big scores in T20 matches. Now think a while, by looking at the player's overall performance, not only the recent post, but also his ability to score, referring to the past history, then it is a fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis finds the fundamental strength of the player. But technical analysis, what happens? What is the long history we don't need it? Here, what is the recent performance is important. Hope you all understand by that particular example. Speculators just give importance to current performance. They never give or take into count the fundamental strength of a particular company. But in investment, because we are going to be associated with it for a long period of time, our intention is not just looking at the current performance, and all we need clarification by looking at its historical performance and get assured that it is a good company to invest. So what kind of funds are invested? Yeah, your own capital will be invested in investment process. It is not advisable to go for personal leverage. Personal leverage means taking loans from others, including banks and other things. Generally, banks directly does not allow you to take loans for purchasing shares. But the employment of loan funds should not be. It is advisable for investors. You save your own capital and make investments, but never borrow money for making the investments, because investments are always subject to risk. Even investment also have moderate risk. When it comes to speculation, speculators do, because they always look at the upside potential. That is, they predict some increase in the price. For example, I have told you the gold example. You are sure that gold price will increase to 60,000 or 65,000, like that. At that time, whatever funds you are having, you always try to add some borrowing, because you are sure on it. And you, when you think of making a betting, your confidence levels goes to that extent that you are a risk taker. You don't mind taking borrowed funds. So speculation, it is not necessary that you should borrow, but generally what we see is that speculators try to maximize their profits in short term, even by borrowing from external sources, because they don't mind paying some 10% interest or 12% interest, because they are sure, or their expectations are so strong that they are going to earn 25% or 40% within a very short period of time. So this, in totality, we will see a lot of differences between investment and speculation. But in the previous slide, I said you in the conclusion one point that in practical life, we never know whether a person is an investor or a speculator. Everybody buys the shares, but for what intention they did it. Even myself, being an investor, I purchased the shares with an intention of holding it for 10 years. But within 1 week, I can change my mind. But actually, my intention at the time of buying the shares is to hold it. But after 10 years, there may be several reasons why a person who intended to purchase it for a long period of time but sells it. So that's making a distinction, or otherwise a differentiation between these two uh, issues is all the, as it was said in the earlier slide, there is always a thin difference. Now let us move to what we call investment objectives. That means whenever a person is making an investment, he wants these things. He wants to achieve these things. He wants these things to be presented to him. Otherwise, he will never look at such investment as a good investment. If somebody has to call an investment as a good investment, the following things are to be satisfied by such investment. What are they? One of it is a return. The main objective of making an investment is no doubt, no need to explain. Everyone has the basic or main prime object as earning returns. And such returns I have already explained in the previous slide that it is of two types. One is revenue gain plus capital gain. Capital gain comes from difference between end period value minus beginning period value. Suppose at the beginning of the period, I purchased a particular bond issued by a company at rupees 1,000. And at the end of the year, it went up to 1100 rupees. That means in the capital, I invested 1000, I have a gain 1100 minus 1000, 100 rupees capital gain is there. And company has paid me an interest of 50 rupees during the year. In the case of shares, we call it as dividend. In the case of bonds, we call it as interest. Now look at the formula, and value 1100 minus 1000 plus 50. 1100 minus 1000 is 100 plus 50 is 150 rupees. Totally the return we got in the numerator. Denominator, beginning value period, that is investment we made 1000. 150 by 1000 into 100 comes to 15%. That means we got a return of 15% from the investment we made in the year. That is a formula. Formula, return is equal to end period value minus beginning period value plus dividend divided by beginning period value into 100. So thus, investors always expect a good rate of return from their investments. What is that good rate of return? It depends upon the risk you are taking. If you are taking more risk, can an investor take more risk? Yes, he can take, as long as he is compensated with higher returns for the higher risk he is taking. Then the word good rate of return implies 25% can be sometimes good return, and sometimes even 10% can be a very good return. It depends upon for 10% what risk you are taking, and for 25% what risk you are taking. So we can elaborate on this as we come to the solving of problems is concerned. So let us go forward. Rate of return could be defined as a total income the investor receives during the holding period, that is end period value minus beginning period value plus dividend. The total equation in the numerator is what the sentence says. Rate of return could be defined as the total income the investor receives. Total income investor receives is given by the equation end period value minus beginning period value plus dividend. During the holding period, the holding period is generally 1 year, at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. Stated as a percentage, the formula at the end you can see it is into 100. Thus, the paragraph is just an explanation of that formula. So hope you all understand the first basic objective of any investment. No need to make elaborate explanation. Return means profit earning on the investment made, expressed as a percentage. So now let's go to the next objective, risk. So risk can be an objective, or it can be a feature of investment. That you can't have an investment without risk. So we will explain that point at the end because we have a question mark there. But any investment in general will have some moderate amount of risk. It was already told in the differentiation concept also. Risk of holding the securities. What is risk and how to define the risk? Risk of holding securities is related with the probability of actual returns becoming less than what we anticipated. That means if you anticipated 15% return this year, your actual return may end up to 12%. It may even go to 18% also. That means, is there any possibility for the return that we anticipate to change? Yes, there is a chance that what you anticipated may not occur. It may increase or it may decrease. Then your investment is subject to this. Suppose if you answer my question, no sir, whatever is promised is that much we are going to get. How it is possible? So for example, I invested 1000 rupees in State Bank of India and they promised me 10% return, and every year they are paying me 100 rupees as interest. Year 100, year 200, year 300. So there is no fluctuation, there is no variation. Yes, you are correct. Then what we anticipated and what actual is not changing, then such investment is free from risk. So can there be certain investments without risk? Yes, there can be. The word risk is synonymous to the variability of return. Investment risk is just as important as measuring its expected rate of return. That means by measuring return in the previous slide, like begin end value minus beginning value plus dividend by beginning value. So measuring the risk is also important, not just measuring the return. Also you need to measure the risk, because you have to compare both of them. Your main objective, these two objectives have to be fulfilled. What are the two objectives? You need to maximize the rate of return, but minimize the risk. These dual objectives will make the investment more better, more utility you can derive out of that. Utility in investment arena is not derived just from returns or not just from looking at the risk. A combination of these two are important. More return for less risk is more valuable than any other combination, right? So the question, can risk be minimized to zero? That means no risk at all. Yes, government bonds is an example. Whether state government bonds or central government bonds, there will be full security given by the government itself, which is not available with any other, even State Bank of India or any other bank. Who can give guarantee? Any bank can go into liquidation and your deposits are always at risk. Just because you are getting 100 rupees as a fixed interest every year, you can't call a bank deposit as a security investment in the nowadays at least. So currently I can say that only government money market instruments or otherwise long-term bonds, only those are called as no risk investments. That means risk-free rate of return can also be there, but it is very less. Government bond will pay maximum of 6% in a year for 100 rupees you invest. But people generally does not satisfy with such a minimum percentage returns. Therefore, they take risk to maximize their returns. Thus, the sentence comes: more risk, more return; less risk, less return. But no risk, no return is not correct. Even at zero risk, you have the fixed return, that is the return given by government securities. We will elaborate on this RF, risk-free rate of return, as we progress into the subject, right? So hope you understand the two objectives. One is return objective, risk objective, and a combination of these two is also dual objectives for investment. And apart from these two prime objectives, two other objectives that investors look into is liquidity, and the other one is safety. Investments get liquidity. That means an investment becomes a good investment when that investment is having the capability to be marketed. That means at any time you want money, without loss of time or loss of money, you can, without is not the correct word. Sometimes it may take some time, or sometimes you may have to lose a part of money, very small amount of money. Therefore, without losing a lot of time or lot of money, you can what we call easily sell your investment. That means I purchased a bond for rupees 1,000. Within 3 months, I want money in urgency. Then I can sell it. You can sell it or not. Yes, there is a secondary market where these bonds are traded, and at some price is always available. It may be sometimes more or sometimes less than what I have purchased. That means there is odd chance of losing money also. That means I have to sell it at 950 only, because at that time market is providing only that much of rate to my bond. But can I sell it or not? Yes, you can sell it as long as there is some market to sell. There is some facility to make such a sale transaction. Then that investment is having liquidity. Otherwise, if you make other investments, say for example, some you have a habit of stamps collections, or some antiquities like old idols, etc. things, or drawings of great artists. They may be having some value at the time you purchased, and you think that is a good value also, and you anticipate when you sell those particular stamps or sculptures or drawings, you will be getting more value than that. All these things may be correct, but from where you can get that value? There is no ready-made market for it where you can buy and sell. There is no identified market for it. Thus, such type of investments are not having liquidity. You will face problem of liquidity there. Or some company shares are not listed in recognized stock exchange. Then you have to search for a buyer. Readily buyers and sellers interaction is not available. Therefore, liquidity may be lacking in such investments. So every investment will have liquidity? No. Only few investments where we see there is ready market for daily buyers and sellers interaction is there, and market is providing a good real price for demand and supply conditions. Then only you can be assured that you can sell your particular investment and make money out of it. That means you can liquidate your investments. The reverse process, the reverse of investment, reversing of your investment can be done at any time. Is it needed? Yes, it is needed. This will give assurance to the investor. So this is one of the important objectives an investor always anticipating. So without a liquidity facility, an investment cannot be called as a good investment. Safety, the fourth dimension. What does the safety means? People many times confuse that there is no risk means there is full safety. Zero risk is equal to 100% safe. Safety and risk are two different aspects. Safety comes from legal recognition to a particular transaction. When you enter into a particular transaction with the other person to buy a stock or to buy a bond, and the transaction is completed or executed, and you paid the money and the shares are not transferred to you, yes, there is a law which is going to enforce it. The other person is under contractual obligation to surrender the shares, and the documents and property have to be transferred in your name. You can enforce it. For that, to enforce it, you should have some legal or enforcing law in existence for that. Let me take one more transaction. Say, for example, you engaged in some horse races. At the end of the race, you are not paid, even though you won first prize or second prize or third prize. When you try to put a case on the particular organizers, you find that horse races in your country or in your region are not illegal. Otherwise, it is a illegal transaction. Then from where you get the law? You cannot enforce it. Thus, an investment transaction, if it is to be safe, if it is regulated by a law existing in that particular country. Yes, all investment transactions, starting from what we call investing in shares, investing in bonds, up to real estate property as well, you are always having full protection from the existence of company law to SEBI rules to, and several other related matter legal frameworks available currently in the country. So safety is always there in making the investments, unless you are engaging in certain gambling transactions, transactions for which government does not give any recognition. No law is enacted in the region to safeguard the interest of the people engaged in those prohibited transactions. So